ask the first question.
Sure.
First of all, congratulations to all your success.
Thank you.
Bringing all this bad villain alive.
Yes, thank you so much.
How did it all happen? How did you get the role, and what was it like when you first got the role?
Oh wow! Well, I just auditioned, like, you know, every year. The most actors, it's called pilot season. It's when they make all the new shows.
Sure.
And so actors, you go out for, you know, like 20, 30, 40, you know, a lot of auditions. Yeah. And this was just another one, and they didn't tell me what the project was. They didn't give me the script. Mm-hmm. They wrote a fake scene. And the night before I went in to audition, my agent told me, she was like, oh, by the way, this is a show called Gotham. It's the prequel to Batman, and we were auditioning for the Penguin. And I was like, okay, you know, like, but I already, you know, I'd already worked on the scene, and then so I just went in and did my thing, and then I did it once, and then they were like, brilliant, and then they called me a couple days later, and they were like, we're gonna send you to Los Angeles to test, which means like you test for the network, and they decide, and so it was, and I think it was over 100 people auditioned for the role, and then they chose 4 of us to go to Los Angeles to test, and then I got it, and it was the craziest phone call I ever received in my life.
What was the reaction?
I just started screaming and crying. I mean, that's what I did. I was like in the hotel room, and I had been waiting there. Like they kept me there for like 5 days, and it was the night before I was supposed to go back home, and they called me and told me that I got it, and I burst into tears. And at that moment, while I was on the phone, just got the news. The woman bringing my room service showed up at the door. So I was like screaming and crying and freaking out, and this woman is holding my food, and she was like, where should I put this? You know?
Your food.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I was like, on the table, I don't know. You know, and then eventually I had to tell. She was like the first person I told that I got the job. This random woman who worked at the hotel. So it was a crazy night.
So Danny DeVito's Penguin in the Batman Returns, that one is very impressive. So, did you get any inspiration from his?
Well, you know, it's a very different take on the Penguin, that version, and you know, it was very much Tim Burton's vision, which is a little removed from the comic book's vision of the character. And what they're trying to do with Gotham is sort of go back to that original vision for Oswald. But at the same time, I mean, I watched that movie a million times. Danny DeVito is so brilliant. And you know, I would say like the thing that I was inspired and influenced the most by him was the fact that, you know, he could take a character that was so grotesque and you know, and dark and tormented, and yet still make him enjoyable and fun. And you know, in that movie, he runs for mayor of Gotham City, and he almost wins, and you believe it. You know, there's something, and so it's like that was really, you know, an inspiration to me. It was just like taking the fun of the character and bringing it to life. So yeah, I mean, and to follow in his footsteps is just, I mean, a dream come true. I've been a fan of his my entire life. So yeah. They saw that in me, and it wasn't until I went in for my first costume fitting where they finally mentioned, they were like, oh, by the way, I think we're going to be dyeing your hair. And I was like, all right, you know, like, and I have to do it every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks I have to dye my hair because it comes in blonde. So yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot.
Does it help you to bring this sort of dark side inside out?
Definitely. I see, that's what I love so much about the character is the physical transformation. Like it's, you know, it starts with the hair, and then I go through about an hour of makeup every time that I shoot, because they put a prosthetic nose on, and then the skin treatment, and then there's that aspect. And then after that, you know, they style the hair, and then after that I put the costume on, and all of those physical things just really, it is as though I'm stepping into his skin in a way, and I use it to get into character. Definitely, it really helps. It's like, you bring the outside, brings the character out, which is really, it's an amazing tool to have.
And talking about this costume, like the brilliant team that taking care of your hair and your costume and everything, can you just brief us through this team? Or
sure. So when I show up, I go right to the makeup chair, and our brilliant special effects makeup artist is a man by the name of Dave Presto, and he is incredible, and he works on many shows, and he's great. And so he puts the nose on, and then airbrushes my skin, and then paints my teeth.
Yeah.
I get my teeth painted, and my nails get painted like gross, like it's nasty. Yeah, he's not a good-looking guy. And then I go from there. I go into the hair department, and then they spend the whole time like getting the pieces together and like doing the whole like he kind of has like this crested look, and so in total it's about like an hour and a half, the whole process. And then once we're done, it's another like half hour to take everything off, to take all the makeup off. So yeah, it's a process.
It's a big project.
Yeah, right, totally.
So many female audiences like your acting because you put something likable. Yeah, I mean they're too cute for this character. Yes. And so how much is that your relationship?
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to our amazing creator, Bruno Heller, who it's really his vision of the Penguin that he has created. And however, there is something, and I would like to think that they saw that in me when I auditioned. I set out to make this character as three-dimensional as possible, as human as possible. And so part of that is finding what is sympathetic about him, what is, and I feel that adds so much dimension to the character. Like if he was just evil for the sake of being evil, I don't think it would be as interesting to people. And I think also truly, no matter what, within reason, but really no matter what horrible things a person does, if you understand what they've been through and where they're coming from and their reasons for doing it, it's hard to not have some sympathy for them and understand how they've ended up making the choices that they make. So yeah, that was my goal from the beginning, was to really find find the human side of this supervillain, and really that's the goal of the show in general, is like to take these larger than life characters, go back in time to when they were first starting out, and discover how they ended up becoming these superheroes, these supervillains, what made them, end up in down those paths, Yeah. A lot of it was the script, but it was influenced by the fact that I did a lot of research when I got the role, and I went back to the comics and read some origin stories of Oswald. And I was very lucky too, because Jeff Johns, who is the head of DC Comics, he's very involved in the show. And he's just an amazing resource to have. We were at an event, and I asked him, and this is before we started filming, I asked him if he had any references or any materials that he could tell me about, and then he just ended up sending a bunch to my house, which was amazing, like hand selected by the head of DC Comics, and then in reading the old comics, I discovered that Oswald was mercilessly bullied as a child for the way that he looked, for his interests, and he was called Penguin as a slur. That was an insult to him. And what happens though is, I think, as we go through the first season of Gotham, you see a change in him where at the beginning, it is, whenever anyone calls him that, it's still very painful for him.
Yeah.
But, midway through the season, he takes that pain, takes that slur that is used against him, claims ownership of it, and thus is empowered by it. And it's sort of a way of like taking the thing that hurts you the most and changing it and embracing it, and then using it to bolster your own sense of self and your own sense of power.
Big screen meeting Batman.
I would love to. I mean, that would be incredible. But hopefully this show will last for many years, and it keeps us very busy. I mean, it's such a cinematic television show in and of itself. Like, we really do feel as though we're shooting like a 42-minute movie, every every 8 days, you know, and it really, because the scope and just the scale of the thing is just out of this world. So you know, we're pretty busy, you know, but you know, I would be, I'm so happy playing this character, and if they had me, you know, come into the film, I would love it, but you know, whatever.
Yeah,
It'd be incredible. Inside of my shoe, you know, to kind of help me remember to do it, you know. All right, so something like this, yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
It's much better when I'm in the suit. Yeah.